So I'm going to start by just turning the sponge upside down so that I can peel off the baking silicone paper. And then I'm going to flip the cake again upside down and then just transfer it on the surface so that I can cut. It is quite fragile, but not as fragile as it was when it was warm. And I just want to get my layers. It's going to cut through and use a board and some wax paper just to store the layers in between the wax paper till I get to fill in the cake. Yeah. And the last one, that's going to be made out of pieces. Just going to oops. Going to get those joined and trim the third one. Okay, now it's going to be wrapped up and stored for decorating. And the rest of the pieces, they can be trimmed and served as they are. They are extremely nice, super delicious. Or they can be used to prepare dessert cup, like desserts in a cup. So now is the time to fill in our chocolate cake. So we've got the three layers and we are going to make some cream. Now, because I've got to put 2 layers of filling in between my 3 layers of sponge, I can work out the quantities of cream I need. I'm thinking about putting about 300 grams in between. So a layer will be the equivalent of 300 grams. So that means in overall, I need 600 grams of cream. So I'm going to go for 200 grams of vanilla buttercream, 100 grams of caramel sauce, and 300 grams of chocolate ganache. I'm adding the caramel because I want a bit of a sweetness, but also that flavor of caramel, which I think is going to go very well with the bitterness of my chocolate pound sponge. So I'm going to start mixing those. So I've got my vanilla buttercream. As we know, vanilla buttercream, we make it 1 part icing sugar, 1 part butter, unsalted butter, and we intend to use vanilla essence and aerate. So that's how I've made it. So just a basic vanilla buttercream. Then I've got some chocolate ganache, which I've prepared using the easy chocolate ganache recipe. Mixing some chocolate with double cream with no sugar. So obviously the amount of sugar is not huge in here. And I'm also going to use my caramel sauce. Again, the recipe for making a caramel sauce is available, but if you prefer to just buy it, that's also very fine. It's literally just some caramelized sugar along with butter and some double cream. Okay, so I'm just going to mix all those elements using a hand mixer. all I want is to incorporate, so I don't have to beat. The purpose of mixing is literally just to get the creams incorporated. And obviously I want to remove that whatever I've got in left on my whisks, so that I can put this cream in the cake rather than just wash it. Okay, I'm going to start building the cake. I've got my scale, so I know how much cream to put in between the layers. We said we'll go for 300 grams of cream. Going to get my cling film, or if you don't want to use cling film or you don't have cling film handy, it can be a piece of paper, parchment paper, wax paper, baking paper, whatever. Because if we build the cake upside down, we want to make sure that we can take it away from the board without deteriorating the top. Okay, so that's going to be my setting board. Going to put this on the scale, set the scale to 0. Now I've used, I think it was this size cutter to cut my cakes. I'm going to use this to build up my cake. Going to put the cutter on the side, and I've got some acetate paper. Now if you don't have that acetate paper, it's absolutely fine. You can very easily use some parchment paper or baking paper. Any sort of paper will do. Just going to cut the acetate paper. But with the acetate paper, it might be a bit of expensive, because you will have to buy a full length roll, but it's reusable. And well, if you think about parchment paper, baking paper, those will be just like one use. So overall, it would be more beneficial to use the acetate paper. I'm going to start with one of the layers first. I'm going to pick one side and place it in. There is no need for syrup on this cake, but if you want to, you can use a caramel syrup. You can get some hot chocolate powder mixed with some water and then use it as a syrup. You can maybe get some cocoa powder with a bit of sugar, because cocoa powder might be a bit too bitter. And again, with water or with milk, you can make a nice syrup, and then you can drizzle. But to be honest, it's so nice and soft, it doesn't really need any syrup. So the layer is 290 grams. Okay, so now I'm going to put my cream, and I'm aiming for 300 grams. I don't have to pipe this cream. I'm just going to plop it in here and then use my little stamp to level it. It is a heavy cream, so I'm not going to have a very thick layer in here. Okay, I'm going just to level it a little bit with my spoon, without stressing too much. Just want to spread it all away. Okay, and then I got to put the next layer. I'm going to get to that layer which I've made out of few pieces. So I'm just going to put the largest piece first, and then the other two small pieces. Up, kind of got broken. Just going to push it in. And you know, I've got this little stamp which I always intend to use to level. But if you don't have that kind of stamp, it's understandable. Get a piece of cake card, wrap it into some cling film, and obviously you can keep this on the side and reuse it. You don't have to do it every single time. What I really want to do is just to make sure that I'm actually leveling this nicely. Okay, so it just looks really, really good. Okay, now the next layer, just scooping all the cream I've got in here and then spreading. Okay, and then the last layer of sponge, which I can put face down. And again, use my little stamp to make sure that the layers they turn up looking even. Good. So that's my cake, which I want to now place in the freezer to firm up. I don't think I've got any cream left in here to put a little touch, just to kind of seal the top. Just make sure that if you put your cake in the fridge and you've got food in the fridge, you seal the cake, because with such a high percentage of chocolate in here, your cake and fat, your cake will intend to absorb all the odors from the fridge, and you might, I don't know, taste a cake with another flavor than you would like. Okay, just seal with some cream and then put some cling film over, make sure that it's protected against odors. Okay, so this will go in the freezer for probably about 2 hours, and then we'll glaze it with some chocolate ganache. So we'll start coating this cake with some buttercream. Obviously we can make chocolate buttercream if we want to keep everything chocolate, but for now you'll be fine with vanilla buttercream. I really want to make the sides really nice because I want to glaze them, and obviously if they are not looking great before glazing, the glaze will highlight everything, so you just have to make sure that all looks good. Just going to put a bit of buttercream right in the center. It's no problem to have buttercream with chocolate, but if you prefer to put ganache or chocolate buttercream, that's absolutely fine. Okay, it actually came out quite nicely. Now the layers are firmer as they've got so much cocoa butter, chocolate. They got quite firm in the fridge, in the freezer. Sorry. So it's easier to maneuver. Those will get to washing. And what I really want to see is how much the cake will weight before applying the buttercream. So I've got 1,581. Always keep a piece of paper and a pen near it to me. One, that's the chocolate, uncoated, so that I can see how much it will be after I'm going to coat. So I'm going to transfer it on my turning table, get my buttercream, and again just put a blob. Try not to touch the cake, just to touch the buttercream, and come up to the top. I'm trying here not necessarily to cover the color, as I'm going to use a darker glaze to coat, but I want to level up, make the side to look nice so that the glaze looks cool. Okay, just a big blob. Better to put more buttercream than less, because you can scrape off the excess with no problems. Okay, just going to get the scraper now and just scrape off the excess. As I said, I don't really care about the color. If the color of the cake shows through, I really want to get a nice smooth surface. That's the purpose of the coating. So I don't have to put very much of this buttercream. Okay, so again, just keeping the palette flat on the top, and then scraping again the sides. And tidy up. Good, great. So this will go back in the fridge, or can go in a freezer actually for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then we can apply the glaze. We will glaze the chocolate cake. We've got the ganache ready made, but we'll just have to put it in the microwave to warm it up because it's quite firm and it will be very difficult to pour on the cake. So it's going to go in the microwave. We'll start with 30 seconds. The cake is chilled, and I'm going to cover it all with dark ganache. And I've got some light color ganache, which I'm going to use just to put some drizzles. And obviously, because this doesn't have so much fat like the other one, it's still okay to maneuver. I'm going to put some in here as I only need to apply a few for drips. Just going to look and see how the other one looks like. Okay. I'm just going to stir. Now, if when you warm up, it starts separating, all you have to do is literally just to put the hand blender in and just give another whisk. But for now, it's still too firm for me to pour it on the cake, so it'll go back for another 30 seconds. Okay, just waiting. Now, if you're afraid that the ganache will drip on the board, then you can just cover the board with some cling film and then just peel off the ganache when it's done, if we do that. Or it can be aluminium foil or whatever. Okay, get it protected if you want your board to remain clean. I don't really mind of having chocolate on the board because I can smooth with a palette, but actually that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to show you how to clean it in case that you want to clean it, but I'm not going to clean at all. Okay, just going to put this on the side so you can see how the ganache looks like. I'm just going to stir to make the temperature uniform, and I'm looking for about 36 to 38 degrees Celsius. Don't want it too warm. That's actually 29 and it's got a good flow, but I'm going to put it back just for maybe another 10 seconds, trying to get it even more fluid. As my cake is super chilled, and if I would pour it over, it might get firm too quickly. Okay. Just like, just getting the spatula ready. And checking on the ganache, so even more fluid. And I will also have to scale, yeah, that's 31 and something, to then measure to see how much ganache it went onto the cake. So if I put this in here, get it to 0, that's 1691. Okay, I'm just going to in fact, let me just put this in here, wrap it completely, and then I will take it away and show you how you spread the chocolate rather than messing around. Okay, just going to attach it onto the board. Good. And for now I'm going to pour my ganache on the side, and I just have to judge, and you know how much I want to get on the side to cover. Okay. And then just helping the coating. Okay, so it's not the ideal way to glaze, because obviously if you really want a perfect glaze, you should make a glaze. This is coated with ganache. It looks good for an artisan finished cake, and it doesn't put you into the trouble of making the glaze, because that's again an extra thing which you have to make. Now I'm going to peel away the cling film and obviously just remove the chocolate. Same with the other strip, and remove. Tidy up the area and then spread the chocolate with my spatula. Same like you normally do when you work with royal icing or buttercream. So just get some chocolate on the spatula and start coating. If you don't want to get so messy, then you can definitely leave the board uncovered. I'm going to give it a bit of a wood texture, woodland texture, not wood, by adding some chocolate curls. Okay, so I'm just going to keep the palette flat. And go around and clean. Then I'm going to get my chocolate curls and then put them on the board. Okay, just have to scale and see how many grams I've used. I hope that glaze. With the chocolate curls, probably at least, I don't know, about 10 grams. Just trying to clean the board so it's not with chocolate. And I've got 1,887, so I think about 200 grams of ganache. Just a quick tidy up. So just did a bit of tidy up in here. I'm going to place this back on the scale, and I'm going to get my light ganache to warm up for 5 to 6 seconds. I'm going to get a spoon. Okay, just because I want it quite fluid. But I also need a piping bag. I think it's going to help me to control where the drips will go. So just going to get a parchment triangle and make a quick piping bag. And pour some of my light ganache in here. And just going to drizzle over. And I'm done. Adding like a berry or two and some blueberries on the side. And we are done. Really nice and super tasty.